Hello, Greg. How are you? Yeah, not bad, thanks. Yeah. All right. A proposal. Yeah. Okay. What you want me to be sponsored by Fragrance Samples UK? Well, it's very nice. I appreciate the offer, Greg, but it would compromise the integrity of my channel. I don't like it when I see all these other reviewers and they're sponsored by Notino, and it's just like they're plugging something. And my viewers, they really respect my opinion on the fragrance as being honest and well informed. Why are you laughing? Anyway, yeah, I mean, yeah, great offer. I really appreciate it, but it's just not something I would do. I'm a man of integrity, and I just want all my reviews to be totally unbiased, with no idea that I might be swayed by any other motives going on. So yeah, sorry, Greg. Yeah, I know free samples would be nice, but this it's just not going to be enough to make my morals waver there, Greg. Money? No, listen, I really appreciate it and I'm flattered, Greg, but there's no amount of money that could make me just become a mouthpiece for a company. I'm just not like that. Well, no, the amount's not going to make a difference. No, well, look, you can tell me the amount if you like, but it's not, it's not going to sway me. How much? Yeah, all right then. Hello everybody. So joking aside, I have actually agreed to do this video as a sponsorship with Fragrance Samples UK, and that is the best place in the UK to get fragrance samples of niche fragrances, designer fragrances, and some discontinued ones too. All kinds of really great stuff that you can get there, and it is a really brilliant way to experience fragrances, and I'm definitely an advocate of it, even if they weren't sponsoring it, because you can waste a lot of money blind buying fragrances. So there'll be more details about why it's a good idea and exactly how to get the fragrances and all that kind of stuff coming up later in the video, but let's get stuck into it. So we're going to be looking today at 5 of the most well-known, perhaps best loved Tom Ford private blends. Okay, so they came from Fragrance Samples UK. You get them in a nice pouch like this. These are small ones. I think it's 1 or 2 mil, and I've been sampling them. So the fragrances in question are Tom Ford's Tuscan Leather, Neroli Portofino, Oud Wood, Noir de Noir, and the other one, Tobacco Vanille. So let's get on with it. I'm going to do them in reverse order of which ones are my favourite. They're definitely really interesting, and suffice to say, I like all of them. They're all good. So let's get stuck into it. In 5th place, I've gone for Tuscan Leather. Now, Tuscan Leather is one of the most famous leather type fragrances out there. I've got a little bit on a card here, and that's a dry down. It's got a very, very distinctive leather note, and I think when it first came out, it was pretty unique, that type of leather note that really smells like the actual treated leather smelled up close, and it smells very luxurious and very rich and very pungent. There's also a kind of raspberry note in there. There's saffron, and some people say that it smells like cocaine. I'll just spray a little bit fresh too, so I get some top notes too. I'll put that on the other end of the strip. Yeah, it's actually I really enjoy smelling it. I think it's really nice. It's got raspberry sweetness, just a little bit of it, and a really pungent masculine leather tone. I don't think it's very unisex. I think it's a man's fragrance. And it's instantly recognisable. I think it's suederol is the component that's used to create this smell, and a number of other houses have kind of copied that and put it in their fragrances too. This one could be the best one of those type of fragrances, but it depends what you think. Personally, for me, the reason it's in last place is not because I don't like it. It is a good fragrance, at least an 8 out of 10 for me. It's just, I'm well aware that a lot of people aren't going to enjoy this when they smell it on me. And it is, even for me, just a bit much. It's a bit pungent, and it smells like that macho guy. It's got a bit of almost a fuck you kind of attitude about this fragrance. And it almost, people say it smells like cocaine. I don't know, but it almost smells like the kind of guy who might use cocaine and then become really arrogant and brash. It's just a bit brash, a bit bold, a bit masculine. And I know a lot of women don't like. I've never seen a video where women's opinions have been given on fragrances. When they've smelled this, it's nearly always, I'm not sure, I don't like it. So for that reason, brilliant niche artistry there, but I don't know how many other people are going to enjoy it. However, you might like it, try it out. Next up then for me, I'm going to put in 4th place, Oud Wood. So Oud Wood, I think it was one of the original ones back in 2007 when they started doing the private blends. It's got some vetiver in there and a very wearable, understated kind of oud note. It's not a really pungent oud, but you can notice that there's oud in it. And for me, it's pleasant, but I've smelled a lot of things now that are out there. Maybe this was a bit ahead of its time when it first came out, but there are quite a few things out there now that have oud and wood combinations. There's the Versace Oud Noir one, the Ralph Lauren's Oud one, all kinds of different woody oud combinations, and this one just seems like yet another one. It doesn't seem to jump out as being particularly better to me. It might have been first, but I'm not giving it any extra points for that. We just want the one that we like best. And you know, oud, the problem with oud is it's a love or hate thing for a lot of people, and there's at least a 50% chance that people won't like this. Again, a lot of women I don't think like oud, and I'm not quite like Jeremy Fragrance that I'd wear something that I thought smelled awful if women liked it. But if I think at least 50% of people will not like it, that's not a good thing. I do think it's nicely made. I quite enjoy the smell, but it doesn't quite do it for me personally. It is a classic oud fragrance. If you're interested in exploring oud, that maybe Acqua di Parma's Colonia Oud, and a few other ones out there, some of the Amouage ones are absolute must try. So I'd recommend for people to try it, but it just doesn't float my particular boat that much. Next up then, this is getting tricky. I'm going to go in third place with Noir de Noir. I actually really like Noir de Noir. So with Noir de Noir, we get, where is it? Hang on. It's a kind of very unisex fragrance. It's very smooth. It's dark, and it's characterized by maybe the three main things you'll hear mentioned is rose, chocolate, dark chocolate, and patchouli. So it's got a sort of darkness, a sweetness, and a floral note in there, which makes it quite unisex, and some patchouli, which gives it some real depth. Lovely rose in the opening, and there's a kind of vanilla thing going on there too. So this one I find really seductive and sexy. People say that it's Valentine's Day in a bottle. I see what they mean. It's sexy, it's rich. I would happily wear this if I had it. But it's the kind of thing I wouldn't wear all the time, and I wouldn't really need a 50ml or 100ml bottle. So it's the ideal kind of thing where Fragrance Samples UK is a great place to go, because maybe you just get a 10ml sample of this and you can really enjoy that. You haven't spent a fortune. Maybe, you know, if you want to get some samples going, here's an idea. Hang on. You've got some things that you want full bottles of, your favourites, and then you get samples of some of the stronger niche fragrances that you're only going to wheel out on special occasions. You just get a nice little box like this one of some samples I got from another company, Pana London, and you just put your little samples in there, and you have 5, 6, 7 of the best private blends or Amouage or Xerjoff that you don't need full bottles of. You haven't spent the earth, and you've got a great selection. So this whole sample thing can really work and save you a lot of money, and you can have so much variety. Maybe if you get 10, 20ml samples or decants of things, it's worth doing. Anyway, Noir de Noir, yes, I like it. It's really nice. One of my more recommended ones, definitely really good. Maybe a 9 out of 10 or 8.5 for me. A little bit more information now about Fragrance Samples UK, and it's interesting because there's a personal touch here, because Greg is my friend. I really like him, and he's a brilliant fragrance reviewer. If you don't know about his channel, you should do. Fragrance Samples UK was started up in 2016, and it's run by Greg from the GregBoy76 YouTube channel. Now, if you are into fragrances and fragrance reviews, you may well know about his channel. It's a brilliant channel. It's been going for quite a few years, and he's one of the best YouTube reviewers. I've really learnt loads from his reviews, and before I ever started reviewing, I used to watch a lot of his reviews, and when I first did my own videos, I sent a few messages to him, and he was very kind to take the time to watch my first few YouTube videos and make some kind comments, and he really helped me get started out in the YouTube world. So he's a really great guy, and an absolute fragrance fanatic with a huge collection, passionate about his fragrances, and I'm really happy to support his venture here, because I know that he is a really passionate fragrance enthusiast, a frag head to the core, and maybe the #1 frag head in the UK. He's got a strong case for taking that title. So Fragrance Samples UK is the name of the website. Details are going to be appearing in the description below and in various other places on the video. This website offers close to 500 niche, designer and discontinued fragrances. It offers you the chance to try things that you're not going to find in the high streets, and it gives you the chance to buy a really small amount for a very reasonable price, which will prevent you making a potentially bad blind buy, and it will let you know if you like a fragrance, and then maybe if you want to go and buy a full bottle from the retailers. Also, it's a great way to buy a small amount of fragrance for maybe a special occasion, or if you just don't really need a full bottle. So there's a lot of strong niche fragrances out there, and you can have enough enough to smell really great for any special occasion, maybe 10ml, 20ml, something like that, 30, maybe even 50ml, but you don't necessarily need 100ml bottles. So buying lots of decants allows you to have a much more large and varied collection, and there really is no point often having money tied up in 100ml bottles of very strong smelling niche fragrances that you're only going to pull out on special occasions. They're not good for work. They're going to be just too much to wear just going down the pub or something. You're going to wear them for weddings, you're going to wear them for special occasions. Me personally, I've spent loads of money on niche fragrances, and there's a lot of bottles there that, you know, I've got 100ml of stuff that's really great, but I'm just not going to wear it that often, so I would be better off with a 10-20ml decant. So it's a really great way to save money, actually, to try Fragrance Samples UK. The samples are available in 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, 20, 30 and 50ml sizes for most fragrances. Greg is someone you can absolutely trust. I've met him, we went out sniffing in November and for a few beers, and I really hope that I'll meet him again because I do consider him a friend. He's a great guy. On his eBay store, they've had close to 1,500 positive feedbacks and 0 negative. And in the small time that they've been trading, they've now got a team of 4 people, but Greg is always available to talk either on the phone or via email. So it's a really nice, small, personal kind of business here. Okay, so that's a bit more information about them. Last 2 then, here we go. Top 2 for me. This is tough. Okay. In second place, I'm putting Tobacco Vanille. So this is one of the really talked about ones. This and Tuscan Leather are probably the most famous and liked ones generally, but yeah, for me, I'm putting it in second place. So with this one, obviously the main notes are tobacco and vanilla. It's got that sweetness. There's some dried fruit kind of notes in there. It's very pungent. The longevity is really good. I have tried all of these on skin as well, and this one was really lasted really well. It's pungent, it's strong. I think it's very masculine. And there's a certain sweetness which I think makes it likable, cozy and comforting, and the tobacco note in it is one of the most rich and realistic ones you'll ever smell. If you think that Pure Havana is nice by Thierry Mugler, this is a much more natural smelling tobacco note. It is just a bit strong, so again, you know, I don't know if I'd ever want a 50ml bottle or 100ml because I wouldn't wear it that often, but I would pull out this one for special occasion. I think it's really a challenging fragrance for some people, a bit much for some people, but that's what niche is all about, and this one's beautiful. So this brings me to my controversial winner, which you've probably figured out what it is by now. My favourite actually is, after much thought, and it was really close between all of them, but Neroli Portofino by Tom Ford, I think, is the one. You know, if I was actually going to save up some money and go and buy a 250ml flacon of anything of these, it would eventually be Neroli Portofino because it's so very wearable. So it's a classic citrus cologne type fragrance. There's a definite similarity with 4, 7, 11, the cologne, but it's way better than that. The ingredients must be a lot more expensive, hopefully, for the high price that it costs. It's super effervescent. It's sort of citrusy, but not really lemons or oranges that you can obviously tell. It really has that neroli note nicely in there, but somehow mixed. I think there's petitgrain in there. Depending where you go, there's all kind of different notes listed, but basically you get a transparent citrus, clean, soapy freshness with a wonderful brightness and effervescence and almost an aquatic feel, but so much more classy somehow than aquatic designer fragrances. So it almost seems like nothing, but it's so much more than nothing. It's soapy and clean, but there is depth and complexity, I believe, in this fragrance, and it gets dismissed as being a drugstore type cologne with a ridiculous price. I don't think so, but I can see why people think that. It's so wearable, so classy, completely unisex, but it will make a man feel masculine and a woman feel feminine. And I really love this. It could be even a 9, maybe a 10 out of 10 for me. So Neroli Portofino by Tom Ford, my personal favourite. That's only my personal choice. A lot of people say that the other ones are much more interesting, but I love this one because it's so fresh, so clean, so wearable. How could you not be sexy in this? There's no chance anyone could be turned off by it, and yet it's not boring. It's got real class running right through it. So Neroli Portofino, my personal favourite. Thanks very much for joining me, and we'll see you next time. Remember, whatever you're doing in life, let's project.